Here you can see I have user, desktop, document, download, music, all this folder. So if I type the command in the terminal ls, then you can see I'm in this same directory, the document, and you can see here. So if I go to desktop, you can see I have keyboards, Metasploit, and these things. So similarly I can cd change directory and go to desktop. For that, Ctrl Shift C to copy, and to paste Ctrl Shift V, or I can right click and paste. Then I will enter. Now you can see that earlier I was in home directory, and then now I'm in desktop. If you see only a backslash, then I will be in the file system. This one, the file system directory, only backslash. But if you see this tilde operator, then you see I'm in home directory, that is user directory. Now I'm in desktop / desktop. If I do ls, then I can see that I can see these files with the help of this command line. Then we have a readme keyboard. This is readme. And then this is password.txt. This one, password.txt. To read the file password.txt, we use a command cat and then password password.txt. Then we can read what is inside this file, password.txt. Enter. You'll see that the username is user and the password is tool, but we have already changed our password. So if I close it and try to open this file, I can see the same thing. User is user, the password is tool. Let's close it, and we can go to any directory, and if I right click and open in terminal, then we will be inside desktop, and we can open a terminal from that directory itself. And if we want to make a file, we can still write a command cat, and then suppose user.txt. We can start writing actually, but to create a new file we can use cat user.txt, or we can use the command touch. Now if we type enter, you can see that the user.txt is here. Then we can Ctrl C, and then we can cat user.txt to check the content. Here we don't have any content, so it's showing nothing. We don't have any content. But if we want to write something, we can write cat not cat, echo. Write something echo under quotation mark. We will write I love Parrot operating system, and then enter. Now if we open this file, you see that it's written I love Parrot operating system inside the file. Similarly, we can now check cat user.txt and enter. Then we'll see that I love Parrot operating system. So if I write something else, like suppose hello world, and enter, then it will overwrite the previous. So if I type cat and user.txt, you can see that I love Parrot operating system is gone. Now I can see only hello world. So to write this again, under this we have to give this 2 times. Now if I enter, and now if I cat user, then I can see Okay, let me clear the screen first. Now if I do cat user, now you can see below hello world I can add I love Parrot operating system. Similarly, I open the file and I can see it's added below. So I'll just close this. This is how we can write inside a file or create a file or write inside a file. To delete this file, we will type the command rm r for recursive and then file name user.txt. With this command we can delete a file or a directory. Right now we are deleting this user.txt, so we'll just click and the user.txt is gone. If we type ls, we'll give it will give all the files that are located. Suppose we want to go to a different, suppose we'll go to user, then we'll go to downloads. In downloads nothing is there. Let's go to documents. Documents is also empty. Suppose let's create something. We'll go to documents and then we'll create a folder called just name it folder 1. Then we'll create another folder 2. Inside folder 1 we'll create folder ABC, and we'll also create a file. Suppose create a document, for example create a text document, plain text 123.txt. Now in document we have one directory called 1. Inside the directory we have another directory which is empty ABC, and we have 123.txt. so if we go to documents, we can see we have 1 and 2. So similarly, right now we are in desktop. To go back, we will type cd and then ... Then we are back. Now we will type ls again. We will see that we have we can see these directories: desktop, document, downloads. Now we want to go to documents. So how we will go to documents? We will simply type change directory, that is cd, and then paste. Or we can cd and then, as we have copied, we will type shift and control and then v to paste. Cd documents and then enter. Now we are in documents. We'll clear the screen and then type ls. Then we'll see that we have two directories, that is 1 and 2. So if we want to go inside 1, then we'll type cd 1. Then we are inside document 1. Now if we type ls command again, now it will show that we have 123.txt and abc. So observe that the files are in green color, and if there is a directory, it's in blue color. So 1 and 2 both are directories, so it is blue in blue color, and abc is also a directory. This is a directory, a folder, so it is in blue color. So again we can type ls and then l to check for files and their permissions. So for 123.txt and abc, we have read write permission for the root user, for the user, and for the group users we have only read permission, and for other or the rest of the world it is only read permission. So we can change permission with the command called chmod, because sometimes if you download a file and you are not a root user and it needs to change permission, then you have to make it executable to run the file, otherwise you cannot. Similarly, you can you also can observe this before this abc directory, a file, a folder, there is D, that means it is a directory. So for this directory we have read, write, execute for the root user and read and execute for the group users. For the group can be any group, like there can be pseudo group, admin group, other group in an organization, management group. So and the other rest of the world, it has only read and execute permission. To know more about this, you can Google and search for Linux file permissions, then you will be more familiar with this. And we can also check by right clicking and going to properties. You'll see, we'll go to permissions. Here you can see that this is the owner and it belongs to user group. Right now we have different groups like pseudo group, video group, scanner group, plugin dev, but it belongs to user. You can change a user to a particular, assign a user to a particular group. Here you can see that this folder, the owner of the group has read, write and execute permission. This is the owner. The first three is for the owner, and the second three is for the group, that is read and execute, and the write permission is not given, so it is giving minus symbol or blank. And in the third you can see this is for others or rest of the world. The permission for this directory for the rest of the world is read and execute. They cannot write anything, so it is blank here. Similarly, for read and write execute, if you see for the owner, it is checked, read, write, execute, it is checked. And for the group that is from here, read, write, execute is done. From here you can see read and execute, there is no write permission, so it is blank. It is read and execute, there is no write permission. It is read and execute, no write permission. And similarly for others, you see that it is read and execute, there is no read and there is no write permission. This you can say no write permission. So if we close this, and this is a folder, similarly we can go to the file and check if this is a file. Go to properties, go to permission. As you can see, this file for the owner is read and write. For the owner is read and write, there is no execute permission, so it is blank. See, there is no execute permission. And for the group, there is only read permission, there is no write and execute permission. Only read permission, no write and execute permission, so it is only read. And for other user, rest of the world is read and only read permission, no write and execute permission. Others read, no write and execute permission. But we can change permission from here, or we can change it with the help of terminal. So for that we'll type the command chmod, change chmod, and then if we want to give permission, execute permission to owner, group and others, then we'll type plus x for execute. So if you want to give execute permission for owner, group and if you want to give execute permission for owner, group and others, then we'll type chmod plus x space, then the file name 123.txt, and then press enter. Now you can see that the owner, group and other all have execute permission. Earlier it was not. To check in terminal, we'll type lsl again, and we will see that the color is also changed. This color is different now than earlier, and it has execute. This file 123.txt has read, write, execute permission for the owner, and read and execute permission for group, and for others also read and execute. Execute permission is added. Earlier it was only read, write, read and read. Now it is read, write, execute, read, execute and read, execute. Similarly, we'll clear the screen. We can change ls minus L to check this permissions and folders, more detail, list, and we can type ls la to check for hidden files inside this directory. There are two hidden files, that is one dot and one is dot dot, that we can observe, and both are directories. Anyway, we'll clear this screen and then we'll type ls l again, and now we'll try to change permission for this 123.txt. For that, chmod. Then if we type 7, then it will give read, write, execute permission. If we type 4, suppose we'll give 7 to owner, 7 to group and 7 to other. 7 means read, write, execute, and read, write, execute to group and read, write, execute to other users. Now we'll type 123.txt. Just observe here that everything will be read, write, execute for owner, group and other. Now we have changed permission. Now you can see that owner, group and others all have read, write, execute, read, write, execute and read, write, execute permission. Similarly, we can chmod 000 to give no permission to each one. If you give this and enter, see that no permission, read, write, execute, this permission is gone now. LSL, you can see there is no permission for the owner, for the group, for the root, etc. So similarly, you can play around and check. Now we can give different permissions, like we'll give 7 to the root, we'll give all the permission to root, we'll give 5 to group user, and then 3 to other user, and check. Now we have read, write, execute permission to the owner by giving 7, and then we have given 5 for group user, that is read and execute permission, and then we have 3, that is write and execute permission for other users. So if you give 1, enter, now you have execute permission, that is 1 is execute, for execute, giving execute permission. 0 to give 0, no permissions. If I give 1, it gives you execute permission. Similarly, if you give 2 and then 0, that is it will give write permission to the owner, and 0 to all other like group and owner, and to it will give read permission to the owner, and 0 permission to group and 0 permission to others, that is no permissions. And as you can see, 1 is for execute, 2 is for write, and 3 is for read. Now if I give 3, then 3 is for read and execute. I'll clear this. 1 is execute and 2 is write. One is execute and 2 is write. So if I give a permission 3, that is 1 plus 2 is 3. so it gives you write and execute permission. But if I give 4, then it will give you read permission. So if we want to give only for read permission to the owner, suppose we can give this one permission to execute, and then 2 to read, and 4 to read. I mean, chmod 1, the owner will get execute permission, and then the group will get write permission, and the others will get read permission. Now you can see that 1 to 4 will give the owner execute permission only, and the group users will get only write permission, and the other users or the rest of the world will get only read permission for this particular file 123. So similarly we can calculate, if we give 4 plus 2, 4, 5, 6, we can calculate and give permission likewise. So for example, I am the owner of this group. I can't execute, write or read. If I change the permission to 4 and 2, or 4, 5, 6, and then other users, and this 2, 1, 1, then you can see that the owner can only read and write, and the group can execute and others can execute. And we'll try to remove this file. To remove a directory, we'll type now we are in 2 directory. If you have to go to clear ls, we are in abc, go cd back, then ls. Now we are in 1 and 2. Let's go to directory 2, then we'll type cd2. Now ls, the directory is empty. We'll use touch command to create a file called touch example dot. You can create HTML file. Now you can see that touch.html file is created. Similarly, we can cat example dot html to check its content. There is no content actually, but we can write some content by typing echo hello, enter. Now if we check cat HTML, then you can see that there is hello inside. Now we'll clear. To remove rm, we will use rm example.txt. Anyway, let's remove the entire directory. Now we see that we have example.html, and then we'll change directory. We'll go one step behind. Now ls. Now we are in 1 and 2. That is, we went one step behind. Now we are in 1 and 2, and we want to remove this 2 directory entirely. Then we'll type the command rm r and then 2, then enter. Now the directory is gone. Now it's clear. Now if we want to make a directory ls, we want to make mkdir2, then we can create the directory 2, or we can rm r to remove the directory, clear the screen. Then we can change we can type only cd to go to the home directory, that is the tilde operator. And if I type cd again, cd dot dot, that is one step behind. Now you can see that I am in home directory, ls user. If I go one step again behind, then I'm in the file system directory. Earlier I was in my I was in my home directory, that is user directory, root directory, that is. Now I am in file system directory. You can see this is file system. In file system we have bin, boot, dev, etc, home. For other application that we'll install, it will be inside the opt folder. So we are in file system. So if we type ls, you can see that we have bin, etc, these folders. These are file system folders. So if we want to go to again user, that is root or user directory, then we can go to cd user, cd root user, yeah. To go to from the file system directory to user directory or the root directory, we will type cd, then this tilde operator / desktop. Now we'll type ls. Now we are in desktop. We're in desktop. Keyboards, MSF framework, OWSP JAP, PASSWD password. So we'll just clear the screen, and to exit terminal we'll exit. And there is a command we can check for the IP address of this local IP address if config. In Windows we type ipconfig, in Linux we type ifconfig. By ifconfig we see that we are in ETS0 and our private IP address is 10.0.2.15 and the public IP is different. If config. So you can search in Google if you want to learn about more commands, but this is just for basic command to start and be familiar and comfortable with Linux. If you want to download a file, I will be in my upcoming videos. We will see how we can install download files with the help of command. How we can install files, change permission and run execute it. How we can install clone files like download files from GitHub.